Good morning, students. So I'm here with the lecture series of PHP. As you all know, I'm not able to conduct the classes and it has been suspended because of coronavirus. So I thought of why to waste time? Why not come up with a series of PHP programming? So I will be starting 5th unit for you all, which is the PHP. What is this PHP? Why do you need to learn this? So PHP is a scripting language which is used for the server side scripting. As a client, what do you need to use this PHP? As a client, you just need a web browser. And why do we need this? Why a client machine is worried about PHP? So as a client, we are going to submit our forms which we created in HTML. So do you remember we created so many forms about the student information, employee information. So we want to store all this information that we have collected using HTML to the server, and we have to request the server to store our data. We can request to retrieve the data, update the data, delete the data. So for all these things, server will be using PHP as a scripting language. So what exactly the server needs to run your PHP scripting? Server just need PHP installed on it so that it can respond to the client request for whatever the form is, for whatever the database is. So we have already learned about JavaScript, right? So using JavaScript, we did some programming and we also did some validation for our forms. Today we are going to see how can we send this data, the form data to the server, how we can retrieve the data from the server and do some manipulation on our data on the server side. What do you need to execute this PHP? So I request you all to download XAMPP. So in XAMPP, we will be having Apache server and also MySQL is there with the XAMPP. And XAMPP actually helps us. XAMPP actually helps us to treat our own laptop or our own computer as a server, and we will be calling it as localhost. So let us see what is this PHP. Before I go with the PHP, before I start the PHP class, I would like to revise what is a scripting language. How many of you remember what is a scripting language? Scripting language is a language which is interpreted at the runtime. And we cannot use this language independently. It is used or it is embedded, normally it is embedded in HTML, and it is used normally to perform some routine tasks. It can also be embedded in some applications to enhance the. So the main purpose of the scripting language is to enhance the performance, and it can also be used to perform some routine tasks. Okay. What PHP stands for? PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor, and in its early days it was known as Personal Home Pages. How do you create a PHP file? Exactly like your JavaScript file. So we just need one editor to create the file. Which editor you use for JavaScript? You use Notepad, right? So you can create your PHP file using Notepad, but I recommend you to use the better editor like Notepad++. You can also go for Sublime. You can use an IDE like NetBeans, which I will be using. So it saves your time, and actually it is much better to use an IDE so that you don't spend more time in correcting the errors and writing the scripts and all that. Okay, so let us see what exactly is the PHP, what is the syntax of PHP, what are the different tags, what exactly is the PHP, what is the syntax of PHP, how do we use, how do we connect to our database, how to install XAMPP, how to use, how to create a database, how to create a table, all that I will be telling you in my next lecture.